In my Discord server, people send me a lot of suggestions for review. They also do it in my DMs. Now, there's way too many for me to give them all a detailed, in-depth review. So you know what? I decided to compromise a little bit. Today, we're going to be doing suggestion speed reviews, where I go right into my Discord server, go through the suggestions quickly, and explain why they work or why they suck, and giving my general opinion on them. Quality-wise, most of these are pretty bad, but that does mean there's a lot to say about them at the very least. And hey, if you're making your own suggestion, maybe you'll learn something from this. Before we start though, make sure to subscribe so that you're up to date on any information about JJS, or really just anything with Roblox in general. Now, let's get started. Alright, reading this first suggestion. It's a Divine Dog variant called Kangyu, whatever. It's Divine Bull. Whatever, the bull. That's what this suggestion is basically talking about. And the way it's written is kind of bad, but what they're saying is variant of Divine Dog, shaped like a bull, you can ride it to hit enemies and hurt them. The more it runs, it'll do more damage, and it can only be used to attack enemies and not run, so basically, this is literally just Nue R's variant. Like, I'm sorry, but this suggestion is kind of ass. Megami already has this. It's called Nue plus R. What is the point of this besides just doing more damage? That is all this move is. There's nothing to it besides just being a reskin of Nue R that does more damage with a whole nice little gimmick of scaling off the distance. And also, after that, they also say something. Using the variant would consume almost half of the ult bar. Do you know how much half of your ult bar is? Like, come on. Half of your ult bar is a ridiculous amount. That is a whole, like, two or three combos that you gotta do to get your awakening if you use this move. And the reward for landing it, apparently, if I'm looking at this, is 30 to 35 damage, which is pathetic. One Megami combo, your basic one, even a bad Megami combo with just Toad, is gonna get you that. And also to use a variant, the enemy has to be close enough, which is basically the same as Nue. So this move is quite literally just a reskin of Nue. It's a bad suggestion. Moving on. Max Elephant variant for another Megami suggestion. Cool. For this one, Piercing Ox. You hold R and summon it. The more you hold it, the more damage it does, but you cannot aim it. So, kind of like Piercing would, I guess? Well, not really, but yeah. I think this one's actually kind of interesting. Wait, hang on. No, hang on. 60 damage if used immediately. Are you tripping? Are you kidding me right now? Do you understand how much 60 damage is? That's more than Lapse Blue Maximum. And this is on Megami, a character who can already do a ridiculous one-shot combo, with the fact that he has Great Serpent, which is just a free combo starter. And you're saying that the base damage, the lowest damage that you get, if you use this thing immediately, is 60? That means one Great Serpent on someone with no Ragdoll cancel, actually it might not even be Ragdoll cancelable, I'm not sure, means that your opponent just straight up dies? If you use, like, Shadow Swarm after this, like, it's ridiculous damage numbers. I think the base idea of a move in your Awakening, where you can hold it for more damage, but you sacrifice the ability to aim it, is interesting. But that's a ridiculous damage number. And I think JJS players, before making suggestions, they really need to go into the JJS Trello. By the way, I recommend that a lot. It's a really great Trello, one of the best I've seen. And they need to look at the damage values of the game, because that would give them a much better perspective of what damage in this game is like, and so that we don't get any inflated numbers like this. But let's move on. Chimera Shadow Garden. You press R and you can activate Domain Expansion. Recommends to use it inside a building because people can escape if you use it out in the open. The cooldown of your moves are lowered and the opponent gets slower. The more you downslam your opponent, the more you'll go deeper into the shadows. If you try to escape, you'll be slowed down the more you get closer to getting out. So, it's just a slow and a reduction in cooldowns. I mean, it works. For an R, you're sacrificing Maharaga. Yeah, that's a standard way that a lot of people have done the variant. I mean, it kind of works. It's definitely not as good as other domains, but that's to be expected. Megami's domain isn't as good as other domains in the source material either. And his Awakening is good enough that I don't think he'd need an overpowered domain. Generally, the idea is fine. It's not the most creative Chimera Shadow Garden suggestion I've seen, though. There's other ideas for it that I like more, but this isn't terrible. It's a serviceable CSG. Moving on, Binding Vow Suggestion. This one seems fun, actually. Let's see. Chant. 200% damage during ultimate. What the hell? Minus 20% ult cooldowns? Oh, but every ult move needs to be clicked 3 times to be activated, just like Vessel ult World Cutting Slash. Iframes for the 3rd chant and the attack. The startup animation happens before the chant starts. This sounds really broken, if I'm going to be honest. Reason I say that being that a lot of ult moves in the game do 50 damage. So that would just straight up make a lot of ults a one-shot. If you're using Gojo, and you hide yourself in a corner or something and do 2 chants of Lapse Blue maximum, then go hit someone with Lapse Blue, they're getting one shot and there's nothing they can do about it unless they're Mahoraga, which is kind of silly. I think it's still kind of fair because it's just in a similar spot to Enchain where, yeah, you can actually stop this kind of thing if you're quick on the draw and all of that. So I think it's actually not a bad drawback. I think the idea is pretty interesting. It could work as a Binding Vow. It actually could work. So yeah, that's a good idea here. Interesting one. Maybe there's some discourse, room for like different opinions, but I kind of like it myself. As for the other one, it's called Total Gamble. It makes every ultimate become Hikari's domain, but it gives the character's ult. The user needs to hit the character's attacks on the enemy to go through the domain stations. For Hikari's ult, it gets 50% less chances of jackpot, but you get 2 times the length of the domain, and 8 stages instead of 4. For Grasshopper's ult, Grasshopper gets a normal Hikari jackpot just like in Chain, and the ult gets 2 times the length if it's successful, 1.5 times the normal length if jackpot is obtained through Pity, and you get negative 10% cooldowns for your ult. This one just seems kind of overpowered. Actually no, I think forcing the user to gamble is not a terrible idea, and actually no. Okay, here's the thing. This would be straight up just broken on Mahito, the other character who has ridiculously low cooldowns. I feel like this is just kind of a ridiculous idea, mainly because of the fact that it's very character dependent. How good you're able to cycle through Hikari scenarios depends on how low your cooldowns are, and for Hikari, that's pretty easy because he has 10-second cooldowns. As for other characters, though, they'd probably struggle more. This is kind of one of those things where it's less of a total gamble, more so just a class synergistic one, which, not inherently bad, but not great. Usually I'd prefer if all the Binding Vows could be used on every character without some specific synergy. Not that it's going to be perfect all the time, but yeah, this one feels really specific with the whole... with how it works, because Hikari's domain is pretty specifically tailored towards his low cooldowns, and that makes this thing not work too well on anything that isn't Mahito. As for the other one, it's taking a gamble 2, 140% damage, the highest in the game that would be in the game so far if this was to be implemented. And when an attack is used, there's a 45% chance of it working, 45% of chance of it not working, and 10% chance of the attack dealing 2 times the damage. If I'm gonna be fully honest, this is just gonna be Never Again, but slightly different. I don't feel like this would be fun to fight. It could be fun to use, but in no way would I see this being fun to fight, because you could be fighting someone and just out of nowhere, they land 1m1 and you're dead. Well, not 1m1, but one move and you're dead. It just seems kind of BS. Like, I think the idea makes sense. It's taking a gamble, but you're gambling even more, but that's really not that fun. Taking a gamble, the base one, is enjoyable because it's not that much of a gamble. You're gambling with one move, but other than that, everything else stays the same. It's not impacted by RNG. This is just pure RNG here, and I don't think it's a good idea. It's a bad idea for a Binding Vow. Not great. As for the last one, it's called Undertime. 120% damage for the first half of the match, that's too much. Nerf that down to 110 or 115. But you get 90% damage for the second half of the match. Okay, so this is just objectively better overtime. Here's the thing. Overtime kind of, it's... The reason it's limited and it actually works as a Binding Vow is because it encourages stalling. But with this thing, it makes it a lot easier to avoid the downside, because that more damage means you're much less likely to enter into the second half of the match, since you're going to kill people so quickly. It's just that makes it just a flat 20% damage buff, which is stupid. Yeah, not a good idea for a Binding Vow, because it's just way too strong. But I do think the ideas here are pretty interesting. Now, we got some other stuff. Custom moveset additions. I gotta read this thing. You can enable moveset awakening, and you can also change your animation. Okay, here's the thing. Enabling the moveset awakening, that has to be a private server thing, because if not, then that gives you a straight up advantage. The reason why being that... Wait, is it a private server thing? They don't specify, but it has to be a private server thing because eliminating your moveset awakening lets you do a lot of stupid stuff. It makes it harder for people to run away. You're not stunned in your awakening animation, so you don't give that opponent that grace period to know what they're doing. And other than that, there's custom move colors. I think that would be a good idea. I like the idea of custom move colors. Would be good if Z added it. It'd make him more money for sure, so... I think that second idea is a good one. Very concerned about the first one, though. Toxicity scale, purely cosmetic. Doing certain things like blocking over a corpse while going back and forth, or spamming easy in chat increases your scale. Over time, it'll slightly drain, and you can't see the meter. You'll have a stinky green aura, and when you die, you don't respawn for a couple more seconds unless nobody is near. In this time, players can pick you up and toss your corpse while you have to watch. Doesn't do damage to anybody hit. If your body is thrown or carried into a trash can, it'll put you inside of it with your legs sticking out, and the SpongeBob foghorn plays. You know what? That's a good idea. I think Z should just add this. That's kind of funny. That's really funny. I think it's a great idea. Peak. This idea, cutscenes similar to end the JoJo game. Small cutscenes similar to specific characters. Okay, this guy animated something. Wow. Nice. Alright. There's one problem I have with this. And it's a problem people generally have with, let's watch the end the JoJo game thing while we're at it too. The problem I have with this suggestion is that it interrupts the flow of the fight. JJS is a game where a lot of the fun comes from how hectic and fast-paced things can be, but if you have a cutscene, like some 30-second long cutscene that happens whenever you kill somebody, it just disrupts that flow because you're just sitting through a cutscene, you're not playing the game. So that's why these cutscenes just realistically can't be implemented, because of the fact that they interrupt the flow of the game. That's my problem with them. It's an interesting idea. It would be cool on paper, but it doesn't work because of how JJS is designed. Next thing, funny public server suggestions. Binding Vow shop. It would be in the area of the map which would allow you to buy a Binding Vow, and you can continue with it until you die 3 times, with the exception of overtime, which would not be usable in public servers because of no timer. Good on them for recognizing that. An indicator appears on the bottom right of the screen if it's still active. There's prices for all of them: Revealing One's Hand, Taking a Gamble, and Chain, True Love, Never Again. I think they should all just be the same price. Yes, some of these Binding Vows are definitely not equal in terms of how good they are, but they're Binding Vows. I don't think that should be translated into price as well. As for the restrictions, as I said before, if you die 3 times, you lose a Binding Vow. Also, the Binding Vow shop would only be open for 1 hour every 4 hours in a server. Okay, that's stupid. No. Do not implement FOMO with a fun game mechanic. Come on, really? There's no reason for there to be a freaking timer on it. Unless it was like a world event in Deep Woken where it's like static where it just happens at a set time in the day and not per server, but like even then that still would suck. This should... I don't know why you would do that. Why? What's the point? Gosh, okay, no, that's a terrible restriction. Reason for the shop would be funny for the game. Yeah, we all know that'd be funny. And then iFood, another idea, works similar to soda delivery, but delivers you a food you select. Cursed Cola gives same buffs as soda, but different word written on it. This one makes the player's cooldowns 2 times faster. Okay, no, wait. Yeah, no, that's a terrible idea. Okay, you know why I say that's a terrible idea? One-shot combos. If you make Mahito's cooldown shorter, or Hikari's cooldown shorter, and you pair that with slow M1s, that means you get to use Shutter Doors or any of Mahito's combo extenders twice in a combo. Actually, Mahito would get a much easier one-shot if you made all of his moves able to be used twice with 5-second cooldowns instead. It's just a broken... It's just stupid. You pop this before a fight, and then you get to one-shot combo someone. It's just dumb. Not a good idea. Whopper. With the slash, probably because Gojo. Half of a blue Whopper gives you 10% ult and 20% ult if you're using Gojo. Hang on. Okay, all of these just give you ults, so there's no point in describing them. Besides, okay, no, it stops at GFC. Wait. No, okay, no, Thunder Waffle switches things up. Okay, Thunder Waffle heals your full HP instantly. It makes the Thunder emote have purple particles for 10 minutes. Heals your HP instantly? Terrible idea, because if you're in a fight and you're able to pop this, unless they add some combat tag thing, then that's just broken. Because you can go back to being full health immediately. So, not a great idea unless they combat tag that thing specifically. And even then, Soda exists for that express purpose. This is just Soda, but better. As for other things, they're just ult buffs. Not a good idea either. Because, I mean, you get that exact same thing by just beating up the training dummy. Or playing the game. They're a bad idea for a food, but I guess they could be fun cosmetically. And as for other stuff, Ryu's beef, a beef with the same appearance and color as Ryu Ishigoro's hair, so black, makes the next attack you have 2 times the destruction capacity. By destruction capacity, I'm assuming they mean like how much area it destroys and not damage or anything like that. And that'd be really funny with stuff like Hollow Purple Nuke, actually. I think this would be a fun idea. Interesting. I kind of like it, actually, because as long as it's just cosmetic, and that could be fun. That could be a lot of fun. Only problem being lag spikes. 2 times destruction on something like Hollow Purple Nuke would run the risk of crashing to servers. Just gonna say that. But if Z could implement this without it crashing to servers, then that's a pretty interesting idea. And then finally, you have 2 other things. Ice Cream, an ice cream made of ice, gives 10% ult bar to anyone near you, 27% ult bar to any Sukuna near you. Okay. This is just ult bar for people around you. Again, beat up the training dummy. And then finally, Utakoyaki, a takoyaki with a dark purple color, 15% damage buff to people around you, and a 20% damage buff to any Gojo around you. I'm not sure why it specifically buffs Gojos. That confuses me. But, oh gosh. Here's the thing I don't like about this. The way this thing is going to be used is teamers are going to go use this. And if this can be stacked, actually, that's insane too. You could get a freaking 2 times damage boost if this is stackable. Teamers would just use this and then go one-shot somebody, which is where this thing fails. Pair this with the game's already abysmal anti-team with how bad Burst is, and oh god, you have yourself a recipe for disaster. Not a good idea. I know what they're trying to go for here, but it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea solely because of gankers. So yeah, this idea fails. Still interesting, but no, it doesn't work. If I'm gonna be honest, most of these are pretty bad. I don't like it. I do find some of the extra stuff, Order Binding Vows, interesting, but with a lot of the move suggestions, they definitely have a problem of whoever made them not being that knowledgeable about the game, which I don't say as an insult necessarily. The first one doesn't recognize that Nue exists, nor do they understand how much half of your ult bar is, and the second one doesn't understand just how much damage 60 damage actually is relative to this game. Who knows though? Maybe on the next version of this video, people will cook up some good stuff. I'm Nue Eternally, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time in another video. Bye.